Archbishop, very nice to have you join us.
Thank you. Good to be with you, Greta.
Archbishop, big day here in Washington. It's very exciting for everyone in Washington. The Pope addressing joint session in Congress. When's the first time you met him?
I met him in Rome about 2 years ago. I was over with the Knights of Columbus. I'm the chaplain of the Knights of Columbus. And he gave us a small audience, a meeting. And so that was my first time meeting him.
And you were there at the tarmac when he arrived at Andrews?
Yes, what a joy. It was so much fun to greet him when he arrived in our country for the first time.
Okay, so now the question is, what's he like?
You know, warm. Everyone says he's warm and friendly. When you meet him, he looks right in your eyes. He engages you. You might only be there for a second with him, but you really feel like you have encountered him.
You know what I like about him is that, of course, he's a Jesuit, and that has a rich history in the Catholic Church. And he still is a Jesuit in the sense that he doesn't live in the fancy Vatican apartment, and he certainly was traveling very modestly here in the United States in a Fiat, and then that open mobile, the Pope mobile, looked dangerous, frankly.
It was. That's a Wrangler, I think, a Jeep Wrangler. But he lives simply. He's always lived simply. When he was Archbishop of Buenos Aires, he took the subway to work or the bus. And I think people like that about him. And I think that helps him connect with ordinary people.
Well, he said today that he urged us not to turn our back on undocumented people here in the United States. And of course, that's probably going to light some people on fire. And I'm curious, does he mean, and maybe you know, does he mean open the doors and let anybody in, or what does he mean by that?
In a way, I think he's just following the social teaching of the Church. The social teaching of the Church says that every country has a right to secure borders. But at the same time, I think he's urging us to be what we've always been, which is a nation of immigrants, to welcome immigrants with open arms, to recognize that when they come, it's not just a one-way street. They also bring good things to us. He's speaking not really as a politician. He's not making specific policy recommendations or telling us what to do. I think he's more speaking to us as a pastor of souls. You
know, today he's also going to meet with some homeless.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, it's not sort of show with him. I mean, in Rome, he does this. I mean, this is what he does, this is sort of his routine.
He does. Allegedly, he sneaks out at night and serves the poor. That's a little hard to imagine because...
Actually, I actually can imagine him doing that.
No one's more recognizable, but, you know, he always did that. He was always close to the poor. When he tells bishops and priests that we need to have the smell of the sheep, what he means is we need to rub shoulders with all of our people, but especially with the poor and the vulnerable. So, for example, in Baltimore, we have a place called Our Daily Bread. And one of the most interesting things I can do is go there, and I'm not great at serving lunch, and I'm more like the maitre d'. And you talk to them, they all have a story. Not everyone will talk to you, but some do. I think that's what the Pope has done his whole life long. And you come away from that, I think you're a little bit better follower of Jesus.
You know, I think probably, you know, I've worked in, or not worked in, but I've been to a lot of refugee camps and everything, and as a criminal defense lawyer and did civil rights law early on in my career, is that when you go out and you meet people from all walks of life, it really is enriching.
It really is. I think as our Holy Father, and think of his vast experience, he really knows how to meet everybody. He seemed just as much at home in the halls of Congress as he was at Catholic Charities in Washington. And that's a great, beautiful thing. Loves the young and the elderly. Seems to get along with everybody. That's the joy of being a pastor. You get to meet people in every walk of life and every condition of life. And I think what the Pope has told us as bishops is be open, listen to their story, make a connection. If you make a connection with people, you have a half a chance of winning them over to the gospel.
You know, just looking at the outside in, I think he'd rather be a pastor than the Pope. Because he'd be doing,
Probably.
because I mean, there are a lot of responsibilities, popes that take away from him doing those things that he seems to enjoy so much.
I do at one level. At another level, I don't think I've seen anyone enjoy the papacy quite as much as he has. I think he sees a huge opportunity for evangelization, a huge opportunity to connect the church with all that the church believes and teaches to the world's cultures, and to be a force for justice and peace. The way he speaks out, for example, about the Syrian refugees flooding into Europe, or the way he has defended religious freedom, did a beautiful job of that yesterday at the White House. And then when he went to visit the Little Sisters, I'm the chair of the Bishops' Committee on Religious Freedom. That did my heart a lot of good. Gave the bishops in the United States a shout out for our defense of religious freedom. I think the Pope has seen tremendous opportunities. The way he has defended and upheld the people being persecuted and martyred by ISIS. I think he sees the great possibilities.
You know, it's interesting. We went to visit the Little Sisters yesterday. I mean, that was a very sort of classy nod about the political story here in the United States without him saying anything. I mean, we all got the message of what he meant.
It was the art of the gesture.
The art of the gesture. It was a good one. It was a good one.
You know, when the Pope tells us to enter into dialogue and be creative, I took that as Exhibit A.
Anyway, Archbishop, nice to see you, sir.
Good to see you, Greta. Thank you.